So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you all to my second tutorial video. Some of you guys asked how you can actually add Windows 10 to a domain network. So, as you can see, I'm hosting my personal domain in a virtual box, a Hyper-V in a Hyper-V manager. So, I have a Windows Server, Windows 10, and Linux, Ubuntu. So now today we're going to see how we can join this Windows 10 machine to our domain network. In my next video, I'm going to show you how to join Linux, but today we will be doing Windows 10. So not to take much of your time, let's start. So first of all, we have to connect to our Windows 10 to make sure that the Windows 10 and our server are on the same network. That is a DNS server. So you just have to, okay, it's open, and then log on to the Windows machine. This is quite basically the same um, as a regular machine. So now we have to check whether now to see that this is actually a workgroup machine. Alright, you see it's a workgroup, yes, and the machine name labtest001. So now in order to join this machine to our domain, we first have to know what is the IP address of our server, that is our DNS server. So we have to now go to our server, as you can see, Windows Server 2012 R2, and log in to find the IP address. We log in as administrator, STRA administrator, and then with password. Good. So now we can now check. But first, we want to make sure that this our server that's serving as our DNS server, we want to make sure that it has a static IP address, meaning the IP address does not change under any circumstances. Here is the IP address 192.168.1.88. So how can we make sure this machine is having a static IP address? Because that is the only way other machines will communicate with it on the network. So we come to our internet properties, you click on internet protocols, and then the properties, you're going to see use the following IP address. We give it a static IP address, the submark, and also the default gateway. So once we do that, we should also not forget put this to put its own IP address as a default, as a the DNS server address. So once we have that set up, and we again verify it that this is a IP address 192.168.1.88. So now we have to now go to our Windows machine to see whether this Windows machine can communicate with this. We have to see whether this Windows machine can communicate. With this our server. So how can we do that? We can do that by pinning our server IP address. Okay, we type in cmd command prompt and then ping 192.168.1.188, which is once we receive reply, okay, send out a request. Do we have any DNS server with this IP address? And say yes, I do. I am here. So we have a reply from it. So now we can now proceed with our setup. So we have to set up in our internet setting here, we have to set up the DNS for this machine so that it will not look nowhere else but strictly to this IP address as a DNS server. Normally for those running big organizations, there is a good policy that you can run. You don't have to pass through all of this setting. All you have to do is you just set up the group policy, and in at your DHCP setting, it will automatically recognize this as a DNS server, and then you don't have to pass through all of this. Once you plug it to your domain network, automatically the DNS server will be registered. So now that we have set up our DNS server, just for the verification again, we click on properties, use the following DNS server address, okay, and then we set it up, close this, good. So now we have set that. We can now go back to our previous Windows setting. We change settings here. Have to wait a little bit. Good. So we want to now change from workgroup to our domain. So we'll click change and we'll click domain. So how do we know our domain? We have to now go back to our Windows server. Of course, I do know my domain, but just to verify from our Windows server, we come to server manager, local server, and then you will see this work group will change to domain, and here is our domain, jazzairarrow.org. So this is our domain. This is the domain we are going to put into this domain. So it's jazzairarrow.org. Good. Jazzairarrow.org. And once we click OK, it's actually should pop up a password and so. So I'm going to use admin because I haven't set up any user to have such right. So administrator, let me write it good so that it won't give us error. Administrator. Let's see. Good. Where it says here, welcome to the jazzairarrow.org domain. So now we are in. You must restart your computer so that, of course, we have to restart. And now to show you that, restart now. So it's restarting. Let us go back to our server and see. We're going to use a name here that will tell us that, of course, we are actually into business, or that machine was joined. And when that machine is joined to the domain, it means that all the users in this Active Directory can log on to that machine. So users, you see, I have A City as a user, I have Georgia City as user, I have Adriana City as user. So we're going to use this A City as user, and we're going to see that as soon as we put A City, and even if we open A City properties, we're going to see his sign-in name. A sign-in name. Okay, let me see something. There's a con. Okay, so you see, this is a sign name. We can use jazzairarrow/A City, and once we use that, you're going to see the whole Augustine City name will appear because the machine is now connecting with the domain. So now let us go back to our Windows machine. Let's see. Okay, it is still restarting. We just have to be patient so that this machine can restart. You have to be patient. Okay, so the machine is back on. This is our first sign-in name. That is when we install our operating system. This was our user account we created. But now, in order to log in now as a domain user, we click Other, and you can see sign in to Jazz Air Arrow. Yep. So we want to sign in now to this domain. So we're going to use ACD as stated earlier to sign in. And then let's see. Or let's use JCD because we already have ACD on this machine just for the accuracy. Let's see. Okay, it seems to be this. Good. So you see the name appears straight because it is now communicating directly with Active Directory and the domain server. The DNS server are all working perfectly. So you can see it is now welcoming Augustine Silly. That's good. So to even factor it more, okay, that's good. That's good. So if we come here now, if we go back to our properties in our settings, our Windows properties, you're going to see what is there now. It is no longer web group, but now it should appear as domain, and then your domain name will show. You see it, domain, and here is our domain name, jazzairarrow.org. And you see even the machine, labtest001, labtest001.jazzairarrow.org. Good. So now I'm going to create another user. I'm going to create another user in Active Directory. And then I'm going to name this user John. Let me use John Chi. John Chi. And his login name will be Chi blah blah blah. Good. Next. And then we have to give him a password. No, we don't want him to change a password. And we don't want password to never ever expire. Okay, we'll click next. And we'll click finish. Good. So this John Chi we just created, we are going to log into John Chi on this machine. So we're going to sound Augustine City out and then try John Chi to see that our setup actually works. Sound out. Okay, sound out anyway. Good. So we're going to do other user. I'm going to use Chi. Good. Let's see what I will. Good. See it appears John Chi. So it's going to welcome him as a new user to the Windows. Sign up so that we can see all of. And we are going to skip this just for the video to be short. I'm gonna skip this and wait. Okay, so we are back in. So now we see that we are logged in. If we click here, we're going to see we log in as John T. And then we check the same way. We're going to see here that it's still a domain. Good. So we see it's still on just and lab. So another way we can also test that this Windows machine is was successfully added. We will see it on our server, that is in our Active Directory. We'll see this particular name, lab test 001. Now let's find out to see whether we will get. Now this is the whole domain machine now. Whatever group policy you set, it will affect this user. So we're now going back to our network server, and we go to Active Directory, and we come to computers. Wow, you see this? This is our computer, lab test 001. So it's just telling you that this computer was successfully added. And we see it will give you the operating system, listing, and everything. So that's it, guys. My next video, I'm going to be teaching you how to successfully add a Linux machine on your domain network. So please like my channel, subscribe to it as I give you more videos. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.